This government is all about growth. Of course, there isn't any growth at all at the moment, and many would say that actually the national insurance rises, new employment legislation, the upping of the minimum wage pretty much guarantees that when the 1st of April comes and much of this kicks in, that we're really going to be in a tough spot. But no, the Chancellor has been off to Davos and come back a new woman, and we're going to have a third runway at Heathrow Airport. Well, at least that's a decision, I suppose, because we've spent the last 50 years debating whether we ought to do it or not. But one of the things I found really interesting was, following on from Keir Starmer's speech a couple of weeks ago about AI and new technologies, Rachel Reeves had this to say about new tech today.
We are at the forefront of some of the most exciting developments in the world, like artificial intelligence and life sciences. We have opened up our planning system to build new infrastructure, like onshore wind farms or data centres driving the AI revolution.
And of course, housing. This government says it's absolutely determined to build 1.5 million homes during the course of this parliament. Interestingly, that was the similar target for the last Conservative government that was in, although I have to say with housing, and we'll deal with it separately perhaps, but even if we do build 1.5 million homes, that won't even be enough for the number of legal migrants that come over the course of the next 5 years. But will growth return? Are these proposals bold enough? Will it turn things around? Give me your thoughts, please. Tweet #Farage on GB News or email farage@gbnews.com. I'm joined by panel regulars, Kwasi Kwarteng and Lloyd Russell Moyle. Well, Kwasi, you know a thing or two about standing up and making great promises.
Absolutely.
Interestingly, the third runway has been dividing political parties for a long time. Boris Johnson was going to lie on the runway, and
then he went to Afghanistan or wherever it was when the vote happened.
Quite.
That's right.
And Zach Goldsmith called a by-election over it, and the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, appears to be very opposed to it. And some would say, well, why not build some more infrastructure in the north of England,
all of that,
and not the south of England? And actually, when you go to Schiphol in Amsterdam, you've got all these different terminals, but there's one road that you drive around to go to each of the terminals, or you go to Atlanta, which is probably the biggest hub in America now.
Or closer to home, Frankfurt.
Frankfurt, pretty good too. Yeah. And of course, getting from Terminal 5 to Terminal 2, I mean, the whole thing's a shambles.
Hey guys, is Rachel Reeves to blame for the UK's economic crisis? Well, everybody else thinks so. So, I think it's important to recognise that while the Labour government and Rachel Reeves are taking a lot of shit, much of the criticism may be unfairly targeted at them for issues that are largely beyond their control. There are some policies that could be causing difficulties for everyday people. It's convenient for both the media and the opposition, especially the Tories, to point the finger at the Chancellor whenever there's bad news on the economic front. Take the recent story about Tesco laying off 400 members of staff. The government quickly pointed to the increase in national insurance contributions as the culprit. But let's take a very closer look at the claim. It's bollocks, basically, but I'll explain why. In a recent report, the journalist from Sky News speculated that the layoffs were partly due to the rise in national insurance. Here's the issue. Tesco hasn't made any official statement connecting the two. In fact, the company itself has clarified that the cuts are related to downsizing certain areas of their business, particularly in bakeries and managerial roles, not the impact of higher taxes. It's frustrating as hell to see media outlets like Sky News injecting their own speculation into the story. They've already told us that they're downsizing. The company is moving towards more efficient business models and adapting to meet changing consumer demands. The 400 job cuts have nothing to do with the national insurance hikes, and if the government were truly to blame, we would likely be seeing a lot more staff cuts across the board. The media seems determined to link every piece of negative news to tax increases, but the truth is a lot more complex. Even with the high national insurance contributions, large businesses are still, like Tesco, are still seeing their profits and revenue increase. Tesco's revenue is up by 15%, so they're doing well financially. It just doesn't make sense to blame the layoffs on taxes. And it's easy to criticise the government, especially when you're trying to simply scapegoat them. But proper journalism requires evidence, and in this case there is no solid evidence to connect national insurance increases with these job losses. So I'd say the media needs to take a step back and stop reporting bollocks. But let me know what you think in the comments. I've been Jake from Just Jake. As always, subscribe to the channel and follow my Facebook page, and I'll see you next time. You actually made it to the end of the video. If you would like to subscribe to the channel, which, why haven't you already, is somewhere over there. And also, if you want to watch more videos, also check out over there. I've been Jake from Just Jake. See you later.